The candle stand crashed into my shoulder with a force that stole my breath. My mother-in-law's rage exploding the night I refused to hand over my beach house. Before I could even process the pain, she planted her necklace in my drawer and screamed to the police that I had stolen it. Within hours, I was bruised, handcuffed, and sitting inside a cold jail cell for a crime she created out of pure hatred. But what she didn't know was that the very next morning, a truth was waiting that would completely destroy everything she held together. My name is Emily, and I'm 29 years old. I always believed that grief had a limit, that once you cried enough, hurt enough, or broke enough, life would finally give you a break. But I learned the hard way that some people don't wait for you to heal. They look for the perfect moment to strike, usually the moment you are at your weakest. My husband, Adam, died only 3 months ago. I was still trying to breathe through the empty spaces he left behind. The cold side of the bed, the quiet dinner table, the unopened mail with his name on it. I was heartbroken, exhausted, and doing my best to get through each day without falling apart. But my mother-in-law, Linda, didn't care about any of that. She came to my house one evening, pretending she wanted to check on me. Her daughter, Jenna, my sister-in-law, was with her. They looked around the beach house like they owned it, like I was just a temporary guest. I didn't say anything at first. I was raised to respect elders, even when they didn't deserve it. But then everything changed the moment Linda brought up the beach house. "Emily, it's time to hand this place over," she said coldly. "Jenna needs a home after her wedding. You don't need this anymore." Her words hit me like a slap. This house was not just a building, it was the only piece of Adam I had left. We planned our future here. We watched sunsets here. We dreamed here. So I told her quietly, "I'm sorry, but no. This house stays with me." For a moment, she stared at me as if she didn't hear me. Then her face twisted with rage. Before I could step back, she grabbed the heavy candle stand from the table. I only saw a flash of silver before she swung it straight at me. The metal hit my shoulder and part of my arm. Pain burst through me so sharply that I stumbled back against the wall. "You ungrateful girl," she screamed, her voice shaking with anger. "You think you deserve anything? You think Adam would have left you with all this?" Jenna didn't help me. She didn't even move. She just watched, her eyes cold and distant. My heart was pounding, but I stayed strong. I held my arm and said, "This house is mine, and I'm not giving it away." Maybe that was the moment Linda decided she would destroy me. Because that night, I didn't know she was already planning her next move. A move that would change everything and lead to the most shocking morning of my life. I barely slept that night. My shoulder throbbed from the hit, and every time I closed my eyes, I saw Linda's face twisted in anger. I kept asking myself why she hated me so much. Was losing her son not enough pain for all of us? By morning, I finally gathered the courage to get out of bed. I made myself a cup of coffee and sat quietly, trying to steady my breathing. I thought maybe things would cool down, maybe she would think about what she did. But life rarely gives you the mercy you hope for. Around 9 a.m., the doorbell rang, loud and sharp. When I opened the door, my heart almost stopped. 2 police officers stood on the porch. "Ma'am, we received a complaint," one of them said. "A report of stolen jewelry. You're under suspicion for taking a diamond necklace belonging to Mrs. Linda Harper." For a moment, my mind went blank. "What?" I whispered. "I didn't steal anything." But the officers already stepped inside. Linda appeared behind them, pretending to cry, shaking her head as if she was heartbroken. "She took it," she said dramatically. "She stole my necklace last night. I trusted her, and she did this to me." I stared at her in disbelief. This woman hit me, and now she was framing me? "Search the house," she said to the officers. She probably hid it. They looked at me. "Ma'am, please stay still. We need to check your belongings." I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. It felt like standing in a nightmare. They opened drawers, checked shelves, searched every room. And then, one of the officers called out from the bedroom. "Found it." My stomach twisted. He walked out holding a small velvet box, Linda's necklace inside it. No, no, I didn't put that there, I said, shaking. I swear I didn't touch it. Linda burst into fake tears.
See?
She betrayed our family. First she refused to support Jenna's new life, and now this. Her acting was perfect. Heartless but perfect. Ma'am, the officer said, we have to take you to the station. He gently grabbed my arm to put on handcuffs. The cold metal closed around my wrists, and my eyes stung with tears. I wasn't crying because of fear. I was crying because of how low they had fallen. My husband had trusted them, loved them, and this was how they honored his memory. As the police car drove away, I looked back at my house, my safe place, drifting out of sight. They thought they had destroyed me. They thought they had won. But what they didn't know was that I controlled something far bigger than a necklace. Something that would ruin their plans completely. Their perfect wedding, the one happening next week. The one they proudly told everyone was being paid by my late husband's company. They had no idea that every bill, every payment, every deposit was actually coming from my bank account. And soon, they were about to receive a shock they would never forget. The police released me later that evening after the initial questioning, but I still had to return the next morning for a follow-up statement. I was exhausted, embarrassed, and hurting in more ways than one. I spent the night in the small holding room, sitting on a cold bench, wondering how my life had fallen apart so fast. But what Linda and Jenna didn't know, what they could never imagine, was that the real storm was waiting for them. At sunrise, the officers finally allowed me to use my phone for a few minutes. My hands were shaking when I turned it on. The first thing I saw almost made me drop the phone. 40 missed calls, 20 text messages, all from Linda, Jenna, and even Jenna's fiancé. For a moment, I thought it was a mistake. Why would they call me? Then I opened the messages. The first one, Emily, call me back immediately. The next, something is wrong with the wedding payments. Another one from Jenna, why did you do this? And then one from the wedding planner. Hi Emily, as per your request, all payments connected to the Harper wedding have been canceled. Please confirm if this is final. A slow, deep breath escaped my chest. Yes, it was final. Because the truth was simple. The entire family believed that Adam's company was paying for Jenna's huge, glamorous wedding. They bragged about it to everyone, the church, the guests, their friends, even social media. But what they never knew was that Adam had left the company months before his death. There was no company support. There were no corporate funds. The credit card they kept showing off as the Harper family business account. It was my card. Every swipe, every deposit, every venue booking, every decoration contract. All of it me. I paid for everything quietly because Adam once told me, Jenna deserves a good start. She's young. She'll mature with time. And because I loved him, I kept his promise.
But now?
Now I wasn't doing anything for them. I opened the wedding planner's email, took a deep breath, and typed a single reply.
Yes.
Cancel everything. And with one tap, the entire wedding collapsed. Venue, canceled. Catering, canceled. Florist, canceled. Photography, canceled. Band, canceled. Bridal fittings, canceled. Decor, canceled. Cake, canceled. Tens of thousands of dollars gone. The Harper family name? Humiliated. And me? Sitting in a police station, finally feeling something like power returning to my chest. For the first time since Adam's death, I didn't feel weak. I didn't feel small. I didn't feel alone. I felt steady. I felt ready. They framed me. They hit me. They tried to steal the only home I had left. But they forgot one simple rule. Never push a grieving woman to the edge, because she has nothing left to lose. And when I walked out of the police station that morning, I knew exactly what I needed to do next. I wasn't just going to clear my name. I was going to expose every single one of them. When I stepped out of the police station that morning, the air felt different. Cold, sharp, almost new. Maybe it was just exhaustion. Or maybe it was the feeling of finally taking back my life. I took a cab home, my wrists still red from the handcuffs, my shoulder aching from Linda's attack. Every bump on the road reminded me of last night. The fear, the humiliation, the betrayal. But even through the pain, a strange calm settled over me. Because I knew one thing for sure. Their world was falling apart, and they didn't know how to stop it. As soon as I reached home, my phone rang again. Jenna's name flashed on the screen. I didn't pick up. Then her fiancé called. Then Linda. Then Linda again. They kept calling, and I kept ignoring every single one. I didn't know them a single word. I walked inside, locked the door, and sat on the couch, letting the silence wrap around me. For the first time in months, this house, my house, felt safe again. Then the messages started lighting up the screen. Jenna. Emily, please answer. The venue won't talk to me. Linda. You childish girl. Fix this right now. Venue manager. Payment declined. Contract terminated. Caterer. We need a new card on file today or we will release the date. Florist. Refund processed to original pair. Wedding is now unscheduled. I almost felt sorry for them. Almost. But then I remembered the candle stand smashing into my body. The false police report. The way she watched them put handcuffs on me and didn't blink. And just like that, any trace of sympathy vanished. I set my phone face down and closed my eyes for a moment. I thought about Adam, his smile, his voice, his warm hands holding mine. He wouldn't have wanted his family to turn into monsters, but he also wouldn't have wanted me to suffer in silence. He used to say, Emily, don't let anyone treat you like you don't matter. And this was the first time I was truly honoring his words. A loud knock suddenly shook the front door. I froze. The knocking continued. Harder, faster, desperate. I walked quietly to the peephole and looked out. My heart stilled. Linda, Jenna, and Jenna's fiancé. All three standing there, red-faced,
Panicked.
breathing like they had run a marathon. Jenna yelled, Emily, open the door. We need to talk. Linda banged her fist. You ruined everything. You fix this or... I unlocked the door. Their bodies straightened instantly, expecting fear, expecting guilt, expecting me to fall apart and beg. But when I opened the door, I stood tall.
Calm. Silent.
Completely steady. What do you want? I asked softly. For a moment, all three of them just stared at me, confused. This wasn't the broken woman they expected. This wasn't the scared little widow they could control. Jenna swallowed hard. Why did you cancel everything? Why would you do that to us? I tilted my head slightly. Why? I repeated. Maybe because your mother hit me with a candle stand. Or because she lied to the police to have me arrested. Or maybe because you both thought I was nothing. Linda stepped forward, her eyes full of fury. We didn't think you were nothing, she snapped. We thought you knew your place. A slow smile touched my lips, not out of joy but clarity. My place. I whispered. Well, looks like my place was the one paying for your entire wedding. Their faces drained of color. Jenna's voice cracked. What do you mean? I said, keeping my tone cool and even. You never had the money. Adam's company was not paying your bills. I was. Every dollar. Silence. Heavy. Cold. Cutting. Jenna's fiancé finally spoke, his voice trembling. Emily, please, the wedding is in a week. We can't fix all this. That sounds like a you problem, I said gently, not a me problem. Linda lunged forward, but I raised my hand. Touch me again, I said quietly, and this time it won't be the police taking me away. It'll be them taking you. I already have a lawyer. They froze. I stepped back and began closing the door. Emily, please, Jenna cried. But I didn't stop. I didn't look back. I only said one last sentence, the one that ended everything. You destroyed my peace. Now you can deal with the ruins of your own plans. The door clicked shut, and for the first time since Adam's death, I finally breathed without fear. After I closed the door on them, I stood there for a long moment, my hand resting on the cool wood. My heart was pounding, not from fear, but from strength. A strength I had forgotten I even had. I walked back to the living room, sat down on the edge of the couch, and looked around the house. The soft blue curtains, the framed photos, Adam's worn leather jacket still hanging near the stairs. Everything reminded me of him. But instead of collapsing, I felt something new inside me. A calm focus. A quiet fire. I wasn't going to let Linda or Jenna rewrite my story. Not anymore. I picked up my phone and dialed the number of the only person who could help me now. Attorney Daniel Price. Adam had told me once, "If you ever need legal help, Daniel is trustworthy." He helped me during a bad phase with the company. I never thought I would actually need him. But life changes fast, sometimes in ways you can't imagine. When he answered, his voice was warm and steady. "Emily? I heard what happened. Are you okay?" I swallowed hard.
No.
"But I want to be." "What do you need from me?" "I want to file charges," I said. "All of them. Assault, false accusation, harassment, everything." There was a short pause, not hesitation but focus. "Good," he finally said. "Meet me in the morning. We'll start everything legally." Just hearing those words made my spine straighten. I wasn't helpless anymore. After ending the call, I checked the time. It wasn't even noon yet, but everything in my life had flipped upside down, and for the first time, I felt like I had control. I walked to the bathroom to wash my face, but when I looked in the mirror, my breath caught in my throat. A dark purple bruise covered my shoulder. Another bruise was forming near my collarbone. My left arm was swollen from where the candle stand had hit me. I touched the bruise gently and whispered, "You'll pay for this, Linda." Not with violence. Not with yelling. Not with the same cruelty they had used on me, but with the truth. And the truth was powerful. By late afternoon, another message buzzed on my phone. This time from Jenna's fiancé. "Emily, please don't do this. We can talk. Let's fix this together." I didn't even open it. Then Linda sent one more. "You are acting like a child. You owe us an explanation." I laughed. Actually laughed. I didn't owe them anything. They owed me an apology, and the justice system would handle the rest. As the sun began to set, I brewed tea, sat by the large window that faced the ocean, and listened to the waves. I thought of how much Adam wanted peace in this house. He wanted joy, love, family gatherings. But the people who were supposed to be family had tried to tear me apart. Not anymore. I reached for a notebook and started writing everything down. The attack with the candle stand, the threats, the false accusation, the police arrest, the wedding payments. I made the messages they sent the witnesses who saw Linda yell at me. Every detail. I wasn't writing for myself. I was writing for the courtroom. By the time I finished, the moonlight was shining across the living room, casting soft shadows. I closed the notebook and took a deep breath. Tomorrow, the fight would officially begin. And this time, I wouldn't be the one crying. I wouldn't be the one hurting. I wouldn't be the one begging for fairness. Tomorrow, they would finally face consequences. Real ones. Because when a woman who has lost everything decides to stand up, nothing can stop her. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. For the first time in months, I didn't feel heavy or hopeless. I felt ready. I showered, dressed in clean clothes, tied my hair back, and covered the bruises on my shoulder as best as I could. I wasn't hiding them out of shame. I was saving them for the courtroom. Attorney Daniel's office was 20 minutes away. When I walked in, he stood up from his desk and gave me a small, encouraging smile. "You did the right thing calling me," he said. But when his eyes moved to the bruises on my arm, his expression changed. It wasn't pity. It was anger, the kind that comes from seeing injustice up close. "Emily, did she do this?" he asked quietly. I nodded once. He took photos from every angle. He asked me to recount the entire night, step by step. I showed him the police report, the messages, the medical notes, and even the contract cancellations from the wedding vendors. With every detail I shared, Daniel's jaw tightened more and more. "This is serious," he finally said. "And you're not going to let them walk away from this." I shook my head. Not this time. He spent the next hour preparing official paperwork. Assault charges. False accusation charges. Filing to remove the arrest from my record. A restraining order request. and a civil claim for emotional and financial damages. When he finished, he looked at me with a steady, confident expression. By tomorrow, they will be served, and they won't see this coming. A strange comfort settled in my chest, a feeling of safety I hadn't felt in a long time. After leaving his office, I stepped outside and took a deep breath of cold morning air. I wasn't trapped anymore. I wasn't alone. I was fighting back. But the real shock came later that afternoon. As I sat on the couch reading through the legal copies Daniel had given me, my phone buzzed again nonstop. I sighed, expecting more calls from Linda or Jenna. But it wasn't them. It was unknown numbers, several of them. I opened the first voicemail. "Hello, this is Officer Reed. We need you to come by the station. We have new information about the necklace case." I opened the second voicemail. "Emily, call me as soon as you can. We found something important." My chest tightened, but not with fear. With certainty. Because deep down, I already knew the truth. Linda had set me up. She had hidden the necklace herself. I drove to the police station, walked inside, and one of the officers immediately stood and nodded. "Mrs. Emily, thank you for coming," he said. "We reviewed the footage from your home camera, the one near your bedroom hallway." My eyebrows lifted. Home camera? I had forgotten about Adam's old security setup. He installed small cameras in several corners of the house after a break-in down the street. I rarely checked them. They were always just there. The officer turned the monitor around. And there it was. Linda, walking into my bedroom, holding the necklace, opening my drawer, planting it inside, and walking out calmly. The footage was clear. Crystal clear. I covered my mouth with my hand. "Do you want to press further charges?" the officer asked. I swallowed a shaky breath. "Yes," I said firmly. "Absolutely." He nodded. "We'll update the report immediately." I left the station with my heart pounding, but not with fear. With victory. They had tried to break me with lies. But the truth was louder, stronger, and undeniable. When I reached home, I found Linda and Jenna sitting in their car outside my house again, waiting for me like vultures circling their prey. I stepped out of my car and walked toward my front door without saying a word. Linda jumped out. "Emily, you have to listen." I didn't even look at her. But I did say one thing as I unlocked the door. "Save it for the judge." Her face froze. Jenna gasped softly, and I walked inside, closing the door behind me with a soft click. For the first time, they weren't in control. I was. The next morning started quietly. Too quietly. I woke up to the soft sound of waves hitting the beach behind the house. For a moment, I allowed myself to breathe, slow and deep, knowing that today would bring the next phase of this fight. At exactly 10:15 a.m., it happened. A sharp knock on the door. Firm. Official. I already knew what it was. I opened the door to see a uniformed process server holding a stack of papers. "Are you Emily Harper?" he asked. "Yes." He handed me the documents. "You've been served. These are for Linda Harper and Jenna Harper as well. Delivery confirmed." I thanked him and closed the door gently. Inside, I sat at the dining table, placing the documents in front of me. Assault charges. False accusation charges. Harassment investigation. Civil damage claim. Restraining order notice. Every page felt like justice finally waking up. But the real reaction came 10 minutes later. Outside my house, a loud argument erupted. I peeked through the window. Linda was standing on the porch holding her own stack of papers, screaming at the process server who had already turned his back to leave. "What is this?" she yelled. "You can't serve me. I did nothing wrong." Jenna stood beside her, pale, shaking, her eyes wide with panic. "It says assault," she whispered. "Mom, did you really hit her?" Linda snapped. "Of course I didn't. She's lying." But her voice cracked. Her confidence gone. The process server didn't care. He simply walked down the driveway and drove away. Within seconds, Jenna started crying. Like real crying, not performance tears. "Mom, what are we going to do? The wedding is ruined. Everything is gone." Linda grabbed her arm. "Stop crying. We will fix this." "She won't win." I opened the front door calmly. Both of them froze. I didn't yell.
I didn't argue.
I just spoke quietly. You already lost. Linda stepped forward. You think you can destroy us with these papers? No, I said softly.
You destroyed yourselves. When you decided to lie.
When you hit me. When you sent me to jail for something you did. Linda's face tightened with anger. You're doing this out of revenge. I shook my head.
No.
I'm doing this because you crossed every boundary, and now the law gets to decide. Jenna took a shaky step toward me. Emily, please don't take this to court. We're already drowning. The vendors are calling nonstop. We owe deposits we can't pay. People are asking why the wedding is canceled. My fiancé is furious.
Not my problem, I said.
Linda's voice sharpened. We welcomed you into our family. I laughed, an emotionless, cold laugh. You attacked me with a candle stand.
You framed me. You humiliated me.
If that's your definition of family, then thank God I don't belong to you. Jenna wiped her tears. Emily, we made a mistake. I cut her off. A mistake is forgetting an appointment. What you did was intentional cruelty. A long silence stretched between us. A silence full of fear, their fear, and strength, my strength. Finally, Linda tried again. Emily, think about Adam. He wouldn't want this. My chest tightened for a second, but I stayed firm. No, Linda. Adam wouldn't have wanted any of this. He loved me. He trusted me. And you took advantage of his death to break me. He would have been ashamed of what you did. Linda looked away, because she knew it was true. I stepped back inside and held the door. Don't come near me again.
Don't call me.
Don't step on this property. From now on, everything between us goes through my lawyer. Then I shut the door.
Hard.
But not out of anger. Out of closure. For the first time, I wasn't just protecting myself. I was honoring Adam's memory by refusing to be mistreated any longer. I leaned against the door and exhaled, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. They were finally scared. And this wasn't even the end. It was only the beginning of their fall. The rest of the day passed quietly, but the silence didn't scare me anymore. It felt like peace, the kind I had been craving for months. In the afternoon, I made myself a light meal, sat by the window, and watched the waves hit the shore. It reminded me of how life sometimes feels violent but still keeps moving, still keeps returning. Around 5 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was Attorney Daniel. Emily, the judge reviewed the emergency request, he said. We have a court date. It's sooner than expected. My stomach tightened, not with fear, but anticipation. When? I asked. Next Thursday. That's in 6 days. 6 days. 6 days until everything I had been holding inside would finally be heard. 6 days until the truth could finally break through every lie Linda and Jenna built around me. 6 days until I faced them in court, not as a victim, but as a woman reclaiming her life. Thank you, I said softly, for everything. That's what I'm here for, Daniel replied. And, Emily, you have a strong case. Stronger than most I've seen. After we hung up, I sat quietly, letting his words settle over me like warm, steady sunlight. For the first time in months, I felt proud of myself. Not because of revenge. Not because of canceling the wedding. Not because of the legal papers. But because I didn't let them break me. Just as I poured myself tea, a loud knock shook the door again. I sighed, already knowing who it was. I opened the door a few inches, enough to see, not enough to invite them in. Jenna. She looked worse than before. Mascara smeared, eyes red, hair messy, hands gripping her phone like it was the last thing holding her together. Emily, she whispered, her voice trembling. I need to talk. Please. I already told you, I said calmly. Everything will go through my lawyer. She wiped her tears. I know. But please, just listen for 1 minute. I won't yell. I won't fight. Against my better judgment, I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. Not for her, but for myself. Say what you need to say, I said. She swallowed hard. My fiancé broke off the engagement this morning. I froze. Jenna's eyes filled with tears again. He said he doesn't want to marry into a family full of drama. He doesn't want a wife who lives off other people's money. He said the wedding falling apart was a sign. She let out a shaky breath. And now, Mom is blaming me. She keeps shouting that it's all my fault. That I should have stopped her when she hit you. That I should have stopped her from lying to the police. For a moment, I felt something sharp twist inside me. Not sympathy, but recognition. This was how Linda operated. She destroyed others, then blamed the closest person. But I didn't say anything. Jenna kept talking. My job called today. The news of the wedding cancellation spread everywhere. My boss said I need to take a few weeks off. People are gossiping, laughing, asking what happened. Her voice cracked. My entire life is falling apart. I looked at her, really looked at her. She wasn't innocent. She wasn't a victim. She wasn't clueless. She had stood there and watched her mother hit me. Watched her lie to the police. Watched her humiliate me. She didn't try to stop anything. You made a choice, I said quietly. You chose silence. And silence makes you guilty. Tears streamed down her face. I know, she whispered. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't answer. Because her apology wasn't for me. It was for herself. And I wasn't here to heal her guilt. I stepped back and placed my hand on the door. Our court date is set, I told her. I'll see you there. Her tear-filled eyes widened, full of panic. Emily, please don't do this. But I had already made up my mind. The door closed between us, firmly, quietly, permanently. I leaned against it, letting out a long breath. 6 days. Just 6 days left until the truth would come out. And for the first time since Adam died, I knew I was going to walk into that courtroom, not as the woman who was broken, but as the woman who survived. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. The ocean outside was still dark, the waves blending with the early shadows. But inside me, something felt clearer than ever. This was the week everything would change. I made myself a simple breakfast, sat at the dining table, and looked through the binder Daniel had prepared for me. It was thick, full of evidence, dates, screenshots, medical photos, and statements supporting everything that happened. Every page was a reminder. I didn't imagine the pain. I didn't exaggerate. I didn't lie. I survived it. Around noon, Daniel called again. Emily, I forwarded you the official timeline, he said. We'll start with the assault charge. After that, the false report charge, then the civil case. It's organized and clean. You'll do great. My heart sped up. Courtrooms made me nervous. I had never imagined standing in one, especially with my own mother-in-law sitting on the opposite side. But I forced myself to stay calm.
Thank you, Daniel, I said.
I'll be ready. You already are, he replied. After ending the call, I decided to take a walk along the shoreline. The cold sand pressed against my feet as the wind brushed through my hair. I closed my eyes and thought of Adam, his smile, his voice, his warmth. I hope you're proud of me, I whispered. Because deep down, a small part of me still wished his family hadn't turned into this. But life doesn't always give you the family you deserve. Sometimes you have to build your own strength. When I returned home, another message flashed on my phone. This time from an unexpected number. Jenna's ex-fiancé. I hesitated for a moment before opening it. Emily, this is Mark. I'm sorry for what happened. I wasn't aware of what your mother-in-law did. If you need me to testify about the wedding payments or anything else, I'm available. I blinked, surprised. I replied, thank you. My lawyer may contact you. I didn't trust him completely, but a witness was a witness, especially one who knew how much money had moved through my account for that wedding. A few minutes later, Daniel texted, great news. He reached out to me too. This helps us. I exhaled deeply. Piece by piece, their lives were falling apart. Later in the evening, I returned inside the house and prepared a small dinner. I tried to relax, but halfway through eating, someone knocked on the door again, softer this time. My body tensed. I walked slowly to the door and looked through the peephole. It wasn't Jenna. It wasn't Linda. It wasn't anyone I expected. It was Officer Reed, the same officer who arrested me. My chest tightened. I opened the door a few inches. "Officer Reed," I said carefully. He nodded, his expression serious but respectful. "Emily, I came personally to apologize," he said. "We reviewed the footage. We realized you were innocent from the beginning. We should have investigated deeper before arresting you." His voice was heavy, genuine. I didn't know what to say at first. No one had apologized to me since Adam died. "It's okay," I said softly. "You were doing your job." He shook his head. "You didn't deserve what happened." He handed me a document. "This officially clears your record. The false accusation has been removed completely. And I will be testifying about Linda's behavior during the arrest." I felt a tightness in my throat and blinked quickly to hold back tears. "Thank you," I whispered. He nodded once, then walked back to his patrol car and drove off. I closed the door slowly. The house felt warm, like the walls themselves knew justice was finally catching up. I walked to the living room, sat down, and placed the cleared record document on the coffee table. Piece by piece,
Step by step.
I was getting my life back. And now, nothing was going to stop me from finishing what they started. Not guilt, not fear, not their panic. The courtroom was waiting. And I was ready. The next few days passed slowly, quiet, steady, and strangely peaceful. It felt like standing in the eye of a hurricane. The world around me was chaotic, but inside my home, everything was calm. Every morning, I woke up early and reviewed my notes. Every afternoon, Daniel and I went over the evidence again and again. Every night, I prayed for strength, not for revenge, not for punishment, just strength to face the truth in front of everyone. But the Harper family wasn't quiet. Not at all. On Tuesday, I heard yelling outside my house. I looked out the window and saw Linda pacing across the driveway, screaming on the phone.
No.
"I can't pay that refund. I don't have that kind of money." "What do you mean the deposit is non-refundable?" "You can't do this to us." She was falling apart. Jenna tried to calm her, but she wasn't doing well either. Her makeup was smeared, her clothes wrinkled, and her hands shook every time her phone buzzed. Their life was collapsing, contract by contract, bill by bill. I watched from inside, not with excitement, not with joy, but with a calm understanding. Actions have consequences. I turned away from the window and sat on the couch, pulling a soft blanket over my legs. As I reached for my tea, my phone buzzed again. A message from Daniel. "Court is confirmed for 9 a.m. Thursday. Be there by 8:30. Don't worry, you're ready." Just seeing those words made my chest rise and fall in a long, slow breath. Ready. I repeated the word in my mind. Ready. Even if I didn't feel brave, I knew I was ready. That evening, I made a simple dinner and lit a few candles on the table, the gentle, soft kind that Adam used to love. The smell of vanilla filled the house, and for a moment, I felt like he was still sitting across from me. "I'm doing this for me," I whispered. "But I'm also doing this for you." If he had lived to see this, he would have stood beside me. He would have defended me. He would have stopped his mother before she ever hurt me. But fate had taken him and left me alone. Except I wasn't alone anymore. I had the truth. I had evidence. I had a lawyer who believed me. And I had a strength I didn't know I had until everything shattered. Around 8 p.m., my phone rang again, a call this time.
It was the wedding planner.
I hesitated, but answered. "Emily, I know this is awkward," she said gently. "But I just wanted you to know. I'm proud of you. You handled things with dignity. I've seen weddings fall apart because of drama, but never because the bride's family treated the pair so horribly."
I didn't know what to say.
"Thank you," I whispered. "That means a lot." After the call, I walked to the guest room and opened the small chest where Adam kept important things. Inside were letters, old cards, and a photo of us standing on the beach, sunlight behind us, smiles on our faces. A happy memory. I held the photo close, breathing deeply. "I hope you see me," I said softly. "And I hope you know I'm trying." When I placed the picture back, I realized something. I wasn't afraid of the courtroom anymore. In fact, I was looking forward to it. Not because I wanted to watch Linda fall, but because I wanted my life back. The next day would be the last quiet day before everything unfolded. Before the judge heard the truth. Before the lies were exposed. Before my voice, the one they tried to silence, finally echoed where it mattered. I went to bed early that night. My last thought before falling asleep was simple. Tomorrow, they will face the truth. And I won't look away. Thursday morning came faster than I expected. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, my hands resting on the counter, my breath steady and controlled. I wore a simple navy blue dress and tied my hair back neatly. I added no extra makeup, just enough to look awake. I didn't want to hide my bruises anymore. I wanted the judge to see the truth. At 8 a.m., Daniel arrived at my house. "You ready?" he asked. "Yes," I said, even though a small part of me was trembling inside. We drove to the courthouse in silence. Not uncomfortable silence, but focused silence. The kind people share before something big. By the time we arrived, my heart was thumping softly, but not in fear, more like preparation. When I stepped out of the car, I saw them. Linda and Jenna. They were standing near the courthouse entrance, both looking exhausted and on edge. Their faces were pale, their eyes swollen. They weren't wearing confident smiles today. As soon as Linda saw me, she straightened sharply, as if she wanted to intimidate me. But when her eyes met mine, her expression changed. Because I didn't look afraid. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't shrinking. I was calm. Daniel noticed them too. "Don't look their way," he said quietly. "Focus only on the truth. The rest doesn't matter." We walked toward the entrance. Jenna stepped forward as if she wanted to speak, but Daniel placed a hand gently near me. "She has nothing to say to you," he told her firmly. Jenna froze. Linda scoffed loudly. "Oh, please. She's just doing this for attention." Daniel didn't even look at her. We walked past them. Inside, the courthouse smelled like old paper and polished floors. The walls were beige, the lights bright, and the air cool enough to make my arms shiver. We checked in at the desk, then sat down on a bench outside the courtroom doors. I took a slow breath. "This is it," I whispered. "It is," Daniel replied. "But you are not alone." A few minutes later, I saw someone walking down the hall, someone I didn't expect. Officer Reed. He walked toward us and nodded respectfully. "I'm here to testify," he said. "Thank you," I replied, feeling relief wash through me. He gave a small smile. "You deserve the truth." Right behind him came another surprise. Mark, Jenna's ex-fiancé. He looked embarrassed but determined. "Emily," he said gently, "I'm sorry for everything. I didn't know what they were doing to you. I'll tell the judge exactly where the payments came from." Daniel nodded in approval. "Good. Your testimony helps strengthen her case." I looked at Mark and simply said, "Thank you." And I meant it. At exactly 9 a.m., the courtroom doors opened. A clerk stepped out and called, "Case of Harper versus Harper. Please proceed inside." My heart tightened. This was it. Daniel stood first. "Let's go," he said calmly. I stood, smoothing my dress, my fingers trembling slightly. But as soon as I took the first step forward, something changed inside me. I felt strong, steady, ready. I walked toward the courtroom doors. And as I did, I whispered to myself, "This is for me." When I entered the room, the air felt heavier, almost electric. The judge sat tall behind the bench. The court reporter arranged her papers. The bailiff stood firm near the wall. Linda sat on the opposite side, her jaw tight. Jenna sat next to her, wiping tears from her eyes. But I didn't look at them again. I walked to my seat, placed my notebook gently on the table, and folded my hands. When the judge spoke, his voice echoed across the room. "Let the record show we are here to address assault charges, a false police report, harassment, and financial deception." He paused, scanning the room. "Mrs. Emily Harper, are you ready to proceed?" I lifted my chin. "Yes, Your Honor," I said. "My voice is ready." And for the first time since my husband's death, I truly meant it. The courtroom felt colder once everyone settled. I could hear the faint tapping of the judge's pen, the soft clicks of the court reporter's keyboard, and the nervous breathing of the people behind me.
This was real now.
There was no turning back. The judge looked at Daniel first. "Mr. Price, you may begin." Daniel stood, calm and confident. "Your Honor, my client, Emily Harper, has been the victim of physical assault, false accusations, emotional harassment, and financial exploitation. We will present clear evidence and witnesses that support every claim." Linda rolled her eyes loudly, yes, loudly, as if she wanted the whole world to know she didn't take this seriously. The judge didn't miss it. "Mrs. Harper," he said sharply, "you will remain silent unless spoken to. Is that clear?" Linda stiffened. "Yes, Your Honor." Daniel continued, "We'll begin with the night of the assault." He nodded at me gently. "Emily, please step up." My heart squeezed tight, but I stood and approached the front. The wooden witness stand felt solid under my hand as I was sworn in. When I sat down, Daniel approached. "Emily," he said softly, "tell the court what happened that night." I took a breath, slow, deep, steady. "My mother-in-law came to my home with my sister-in-law," I began. "She asked me to give her daughter my beach house. When I refused, she picked up a heavy candle stand and hit me with it." A murmur spread across the courtroom. Linda's face turned red. "Lies," she yelled. The judge slammed his gavel. "That is your final warning, Mrs. Harper." I continued, keeping my voice steady. I fell against the wall. My shoulder and arm were bruised. Then she threatened to throw me out of my own home. Daniel nodded. "Do you have photos of the bruises?" "Yes." He showed the printed photos to the court. The judge looked carefully, his jaw tightening. "Very well," he said. "Continue." I swallowed hard. The next morning, 2 police officers came to my home. They accused me of stealing a necklace belonging to my mother-in-law. They found it inside my drawer. I paused. But the necklace was not mine. Daniel stepped forward. "And how do we know this?" I pointed toward Officer Reed seated behind Daniel. "Because Officer Reed reviewed my home security camera footage." Daniel called him to the stand. As Officer Reed walked up, I felt a strange warmth of relief. This was the moment everything would turn. He was sworn in, then Daniel asked, "Officer Reed, did you review security footage from Emily Harper's home?" "Yes." "What did you see?" His answer came out clear, loud, and impossible to twist. "I saw Linda Harper enter Emily's bedroom and place the necklace inside her drawer." Gasps filled the room. The judge looked at Linda with disbelief and disappointment. Officer Reed wasn't done. "I also want to state that when we arrived that morning, Mrs. Linda Harper insisted aggressively that we search the bedroom. She directed us to that exact drawer. At the time, we assumed she was helping. Now we know it was staged." Linda covered her face with her hands. Jenna bent her head, crying silently. The judge took a deep breath. "This is extremely serious." Daniel stepped forward again. "Your Honor, this wasn't just an accusation. It resulted in my client's arrest, humiliation, and emotional distress." He held up the paper the officer had given me days earlier. "This is the official document clearing Emily's record." The judge nodded. "Document accepted." Then Daniel turned to the next part. "And now, Your Honor, we will discuss financial deception." Mark, Jenna's ex-fiancé, stepped forward. He looked nervous but determined. "Mr. Mark, please explain your connection to the wedding payments," Daniel said. Mark adjusted his tie. "Your Honor, we all believed that Adam Harper's company was paying for the wedding, but Emily was the one paying for everything. The credit card used belonged to her. She was doing it out of respect for Adam." The judge narrowed his eyes. "So the family placed financial burdens on her after her husband's death?" Mark nodded. "Yes, Your Honor. And when the payment stopped, the wedding fell apart." For the first time, Linda's face collapsed into real fear. The judge leaned back in his chair. "This is not a misunderstanding. This is a pattern of abuse." His words hit the room like a hammer. My throat tightened, not with fear, but with something close to justice. Then he turned to me. "Emily, is there anything you wish to add?" I swallowed and spoke from my heart. I didn't want any of this, I said quietly. I only wanted peace after my husband's death. But instead of support, they hurt me, lied about me, and tried to take away the only home I had left. My voice trembled. I'm here today because I refuse to be silent anymore. The judge nodded slowly, deeply. And, in that moment, I knew the truth had finally been spoken. Loudly.
Clearly. Publicly.
No matter what happened next, I had already won. The courtroom felt completely silent after I finished speaking. Even the air seemed still, like the whole room was holding its breath. The judge looked at each one of us, first at me, then at Linda, then at Jenna. His expression was unreadable, but something in his eyes told me he already knew the truth. He cleared his throat. After reviewing the evidence, the security footage, the medical photos, witness testimonies, and the financial statements, he paused. Linda shifted nervously in her seat. Jenna wiped her eyes again. I kept my hands folded tightly in my lap, my heart beating steady and strong. The judge continued. This court finds Emily Harper to be the victim of multiple forms of abuse. My breath caught in my throat. He turned to Linda. Mrs. Linda Harper, you are guilty of assault. The evidence is clear and undeniable. The bruise pattern, the photos, and the witness statements all match the incident described. Linda's mouth fell open. The judge didn't stop. You are also guilty of filing a false police report, intentionally planting evidence, and misleading law enforcement. This is a criminal offense. Jenna's face drained of every color. Linda whispered, Your Honor, please. He raised his hand sharply. You will not interrupt me again. She sank back in her chair. Then the judge turned to Jenna. And you, Ms. Jenna Harper, although not physically involved, you participated in the harassment, supported the false claims, and benefited financially from Emily's payments. Jenna burst into tears. I'm sorry. This is not the place for apologies, the judge said. This is the place for accountability. He took a breath. As for the financial deception, it is clear that Emily paid for the wedding out of personal funds. The cancellation was her right, given her financial responsibility and the abuse she suffered. Mark nodded quietly from the witness seat. The judge lifted the final document. Here is the court's decision. 1. Linda Harper will face O. A heavy fine. O. Mandatory community service. O. A 1-year restraining order from Emily. O. And a criminal record for assault and false reporting. 2. Jenna Harper will face O. A smaller fine. O. Mandatory counseling. O. A 6-month restraining order. O. And responsibility for paying back any remaining wedding debts. 3. Emily Harper is cleared of all accusations, legally recognized as the victim, and awarded compensation for emotional damages. He looked directly at me. And Ms. Harper, you have every right to keep your beach house. No one can force you to give it away. My eyes filled with tears, not from sadness, not from fear, but from relief. Pure, overwhelming relief. It was over. Really over. The judge stood. Court is adjourned. The gavel hit the wood. And just like that, justice finally found me. I slowly rose to my feet. My legs shook a little, but my chest felt steady, strong. As I walked toward the exit, Linda rushed toward me, but the bailiff stepped between us. You cannot approach her, he said firmly. There is now a restraining order. Linda's voice broke into angry pieces. This isn't fair. You ruined everything. I turned to her one last time. No, I said softly. You ruined everything the moment you decided to harm me. Jenna stood behind her, crying silently. Daniel walked beside me. You did it, Emily, he said. You didn't just survive, you won. As we stepped out of the courthouse doors, warm sunlight fell across my face. For the first time since Adam died, I could finally breathe. And for the first time since that candle stand hit my shoulder, I didn't feel afraid. I felt free. The moment I stepped out of the courthouse, it felt like the world outside was different. Warmer, quieter, lighter. The air didn't feel heavy on my chest anymore. For months, I had been walking with pain, with fear, with loneliness. But today, It felt like I was finally walking out of the darkness. Daniel gave me a small smile as we reached his car. "You did something many people never find the courage to do," he said. "You stood up for yourself." I nodded slowly. "Thank you for believing me." He placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. "You didn't win because of me. You won because you told the truth." After he left, I stood alone for a moment in the courthouse parking lot, letting the sun warm my face. And then, with a deep breath, I finally turned toward home. My beach house, my peace. When I arrived, the waves were hitting the shore softly, like they were welcoming me back. I walked inside, slipped off my shoes, and sat on the couch, the same place where I once cried myself to sleep. But today, I wasn't crying. I was healing. I made myself a cup of tea, then walked to the balcony overlooking the ocean. The sky was painted in soft shades of pink and gold. I sat down quietly, letting the breeze wash over me. For the first time in a long time, I spoke Adam's name without breaking. "I did it, Adam," I whispered. "Not for revenge, not for anger, but for peace. The peace you always wanted for me." The wind seemed to carry my words away, as if delivering them somewhere safe. I closed my eyes and remembered the nights he would sit beside me, our fingers tangled together, watching the same ocean waves. If he were alive, he would have protected me. But since he couldn't, I finally learned to protect myself. A gentle knock on the door pulled me from my thoughts. I frowned, cautious, but opened it carefully. It wasn't Linda. It wasn't Jenna. It wasn't anyone from their side. It was Officer Reed. He gave me a small, respectful nod. "I just wanted to tell you," he said, "the paperwork is complete. The restraining order is active. They can't come near you anymore." Relief washed over me like a warm tide. "Thank you," I said softly. He smiled kindly. "You deserve peace, Emily. Truly." After he left, the house felt safe. Really safe. For the first time in months. I walked through each room, slowly, touching the walls, the furniture, the life I almost lost because of someone else's cruelty. This home wasn't just mine. It was a part of my story, a part of Adam, a part of every memory that made me who I am. I went to the bedroom, reached into the drawer, and pulled out a small photo frame, a picture of Adam laughing with the ocean behind him. I placed it on the bedside table. "From now on," I whispered, "everything I do with strength, not fear." As the night sky darkened and the stars began to shine, I stood by the window and looked out at the moonlit water. Life had broken me, but life had also rebuilt me. Linda lost her power. Jenna lost her illusions. And I found something I never thought I would have again. Myself. I wrapped my arms around my body, feeling warmth instead of emptiness. Tomorrow would be a new day. A fresh beginning. A quiet morning with no fear, no shouting, no threats. Just peace. Just freedom. Just me. With a small smile, I whispered the final words of my story into the quiet night. They tried to take everything from me, but they forgot one thing. I'm still standing. And for the first time, I truly believed it.